The 3DS, what a system! A system that was once on course to be my favourite console of all time, only for me to stop playing it halfway through its lifespan. Now the 3DS is a great system, and I want to share with you my personal favourite 3DS games, but with the caveat that I haven't played every single game obviously, and this list will be heavy on the games that released in the first half of the system's life. Because after I moved to China, and after my 3DS got pickpocketed on the bus and made me cry for some reason, I kind of drifted away from it and I started reviewing console games for YouTube. So even though I did get another 3DS and also another one, I didn't play it too much, nor buy too many new releases. So keep that in mind. Once we get into like 2014, that's when I really slowed down a lot. This is my personal list. I would like to know your personal list too. Which ones do you think I should add to this list after you've seen the sort of stuff that I like? And I am going in order, so my favorite is at the end. There is also a subscribe button down there. Do what you want with it. And also a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. Stick to the end to find out why you should join them too. And if you want to purchase some physical 3DS games while you still have the chance, look in the description. You can support me there too. Pokemon Link Battle, or as it's known in North America, Trozei. Of all the Pokemon spin-offs on the 3DS, this is the one that I enjoyed the most. It's a simple puzzle game, but I found the quick pace, no time to think gameplay incredibly satisfying and heart-pounding. I actually put more time overall into Pokemon Shuffle, but I enjoyed this one more because it's not full of timers or microtransactions. I definitely think this is one of the most overlooked eShop games, and it's good even if you're not really into Pokemon. Puzzle fans will enjoy it. Bravely Default. Look, I know this game has its problems, mostly to do with soiling the bed hard at the end, but the journey there was the real eye-opener for me, because around the time Bravely Default came out, I think JRPGs were in a bit of a rut. They still hadn't made the transition to HD consoles well. It was a rough half a decade or so, at least in my opinion. Now don't get me wrong, there were still good examples out there, but Bravely Default took me back to a better time. It showed that JRPGs could still be JRPGs in this era, especially from Square Enix. I'm sure Bravely Second is better, however I haven't had the chance to play that one as of yet, nor the Switch sequel, Bravely Default 2. How do you feel about those two sequels? Star Fox 64 3D. Yeah, this is a bit of an obvious one. Star Fox 64 is one of the greatest games ever made, and although the original game plays better, I love this 3DS remake. The 3D effect just blows me away, and I love the pick up and play nature of it. Yeah, it can be done in like 20 minutes, but finding all those secret routes and getting the medals really adds to the replayability. And even if you've seen every last inch of the Lilac system, it's still great to play anytime, and now because it's on the 3DS, you can play anywhere. Loved it! One of my favourite early games for the system, and it made me not regret picking up a 3DS at all. Having this and a couple of other games I'll mention in a bit really cemented my love for the system very early on. Pullblox, Fullblocks, Pushmo, Crashmo, whatever you want to call the series, these are adorable little puzzle games that just got the feeling right. They are happy-go-lucky and yet quite tough at the same time. I think the latter games pushed it a bit too far in terms of concept, but as a whole, it was always a good time when one of these dropped on the eShop. I'm wondering why there hasn't been a Switch release. I would not say no to a quad back of all 4 games together. Come on Nintendo, get it done. Kid Icarus Uprising. This is probably going to be number 1 for many people out there, and it's also going to be one of those games that people wouldn't put on their list at all. Personally, I absolutely loved what this game is going for. I just don't think it stuck the landing as well as I wanted it to. Don't get me wrong, I like it a lot. I just think it had potential to be one of my favorite games ever. I love the on-rail segments, I love the banter, the personality, I love the story, I love how packed this game is. And I even like the ground segments in concept. It just didn't wholly work for me. I would love to see this on the Switch with tweaks to make it almost perfection, although it would be missing those sweet 3D visuals. Kirby Triple Deluxe is my favourite Kirby game on the 3DS, but that's probably because I haven't had the chance to play Planet Robobot as of yet, but I will remedy that soon, I promise. Anyways, for the first outing, it's still really good. It's Kirby as we've always known him, and it's not my favourite game in the series that I played so far, but it's still very good. Look forward to a giant Kirby retrospective that I'm planning for next month. Attack of the Friday Monsters is an adorable little game. It's a spiritual sequel of sorts to the Boku no Natsuyasumi series about chill summertime vacations in rural Japan. But there's also kaiju monsters and stuff. It gets weird, but it's a lot of fun, and I highly recommend you pick this up, even if it is a very short game. This is going to be a much missed title when the eShop eventually dies in like a couple of weeks. Tomodachi Life is a game I didn't think I'd enjoy as much as I did. This is just a weird simulation game where you make the characters and then they each have their own personalities and you get them into different situations and see how they react. It is actually rather difficult to explain in one succinct fashion, but it's surprisingly a good time, even if you're not into like The Sims or stuff like that. I put way more time into this than I could have ever imagined. Return to Popolocrois, a story of seasons fairy tale, is a bit of a hidden gem on the 3DS. It's not the best RPG ever, nor is it the best farming sim ever, but it mixes them well enough to create a really charming time. I actually reviewed this a long time ago, and you can see my painful early review of it if you just search for a review of this game on YouTube. For some reason it'll probably be at the top. Mario Kart 7, because of course. This is probably the game that brought the 3DS out of its early slump. What a game, easily the best Mario Kart up to this point, and it's the perfect pick up and play game on the system. It's only bested by the fact that Mario Kart 8 is on the Switch and has like a bazillion tracks to make this one a little obsolete, but of the time this was the savior of the 3DS, and even though I didn't play as much as the DS game before it, or of 8 after it, I still think you should have this one. Shovel Knight! Look, Shovel Knight is now on every console in existence. In fact, I've played it on multiple consoles, including the Switch, but there is one thing the 3DS version has over the others, and that is the 3D effect. God, I love the 3D effect, and I love the fact the developers were awesome enough to keep updating the 3DS version, even after most people were playing it on other systems at this point. Yeah, this has all 4 meaty campaigns. I don't know if it's missing any other features, but it's got the core that I need, and if I ever want to play Shovel Knight again, I'll be sure to play it on the 3DS. Sega 3D Classics, because I love 3D. I'm grouping this bunch of games together because I bought pretty much all of them and love them. Playing Super Hang-On or Outrun in 3D, like real 3D, they're just the best versions ever. The 3D effect even made Altered Beast worth playing. Talk about a turnaround. It's a massive shame we're probably never going to see a unique re-release like this ever again, because I can't imagine stereoscopic 3D making a comeback in the near future, so cherish these while you can, and all the games on this list. I love the 3D. Virtue's Last Reward is an absolutely incredible mystery adventure visual novel about a bunch of people trapped in some sort of facility, and they have to play numerous games, tasks and puzzles in order to survive. The story and characters are great, and the puzzles really make you think, but they're not frustratingly illogical. It's balanced really well, and I would say it's the best of its kind on the 3DS, unless you want to talk about Phoenix Wright. Ace Attorney Dual Destinies. I'm going to pick this one, even though I might as well bunch them all together into one section. To be honest, I haven't actually finished Spirit of Justice, but whatever, I'm sure it's amazing. And there's also the original trilogy in 3D, which I recommend, even if the effects are fairly shallow, but whatever. 5 of the best adventure games ever made in 3D. Just do it. They're funny, they're thought-provoking, just brilliant, and have more content than you'd ever expect. Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D. Yeah, alright, enough with the old ass ports already, but this is actually the only place that I've played Donkey Kong Country Returns, and it's one of my favourite platformers of all time, despite it making my fingers bleed trying to 100% it on the 3DS. This includes new levels, a fun 3D effect, and I could not put this down when I first played it. Tropical Freeze obviously was even better, but for the portable system, it's the best 2D platformer, I would say. Super Mario 3D Land was also one of the big hitters that brought the 3DS back from the dead, and of course it did because it's a brilliant game. It's a game I also couldn't put down, and they really made the most of the hardware, fitting the perfect amount of scope in the 3D environments, not making them too small or too big. Everything's perfectly considered. I think some may regard this entry as a little bit cookie cutter, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Although my overriding memory of this game was me playing it on the tram to go meet my then girlfriend, who then unexpectedly dumped me. That was nice. Luigi's Mansion 2, what a fantastic game. Sure, it's been superseded in terms of quality by Luigi's Mansion 3, but having this kind of game on a portable system was immense. Again, like Mario Land, it made the best use of the system. It was a very compact game, but made the best use of space. I like the idea of multiple mini mansions as it did add variety. I have a lot of fond memories about this one, and I think it should be essential in anyone's 3DS collection. Devil Survivor Overclocked is basically a DS game, but it's even better on the 3DS. More content, more monsters, even full voice acting, which I found tremendous for the time. It's a tactical RPG but set in a Shin Megami Tensei universe as you battle demons to save your city. I can't remember the plots, in a whole lot of details. It's been a long time, but the music, oh my god, the music in this game is incredible, especially the battle theme. I really need to boot this one up again. Xenoblade Chronicles 3D is definitely not the best way to play the original Xenoblade Chronicles these days. In fact, it's the least best way to play it. But holy heck, I'm so impressed they managed to fit this masterpiece onto the 3DS. It makes me think about what could have been if other developers had been a bit more ambitious with their games. If Xenoblade Chronicles can be on here, so could most other games, thanks to the new 3DS's processing power. Nobody really took advantage of that, which is a shame. But yeah, if you don't have a Wii and you don't have a Switch, then you need this. Even if it's just for the novelty, it's one of the best games ever made. Animal Crossing New Leaf is the 3DS game I put the most time into, aside from one that I'll mention in a bit. I adored checking in on this game every day, even if just for like 10 minutes. And you know what? I like this more than New Horizons. New Horizons is good and adds a lot of quality of life features, but this one had a different vibe. Different pace. It's more relaxing than New Horizons, and it's supposed to be more relaxing, right? Sadly, I stopped playing this when my 3DS was stolen, and I couldn't bear starting from scratch after spending hundreds and hundreds of hours into my village. Yeah, couldn't bear it. Fire Emblem Awakening really awakened me to the series. I'd played one on the GBA as a younger kid who got my arse handed to me. Yeah, I didn't really stick with it, but this one I could not put down. I loved everything about this game. The production value put into it was immense. It had just the right amount of everything. I actually did buy Fire Emblem Fates Conquest at launch, but I don't know what it was about that, but I just could not get into it at all. I think the story and the characters didn't engage me one little bit, and I only played it for like 2 or 3 hours. Awakening, so much better, way more likable. Sadly, I never played the third game that's on the 3DS, Shadows of something. I want to say Valencia, but that's a football team and probably a city in Spain. Ocarina of Time 3D, predictable, I know, but this is what made me buy the 3DS. I was massively anticipating this remake of one of my favorite games of all time, and it did not disappoint. It looks absolutely stunning on the 3DS, and having played this version, it makes it really tough going back to the original. When Ocarina of Time came to the Nintendo Switch Online, I found it difficult to adjust because this is just a wonderful remake. I love it, and I think everyone has this in their collection by now. And I know what you're thinking, what about Majora's Mask? Well, I'm one of those people who really want to get into it, but every time I play it, after like 2 or 3 hours, I just bounce right off it. I don't know what it is about it, but that game just doesn't seem like it's for me, even if the hipsters love it. A Link Between Worlds though, oh man, what a golden game. Now, I'm putting this higher than Ocarina of Time, purely for the fact that it's an original game on the 3DS, which deserves credit, and also credit for living up to the A Link to the Past name. That was a heavy burden, but it did more than a commendable job. It's not my favourite Zelda game, but in and of itself, it is one of the best 3DS games hands down, even if the wall mechanic, a gimmick I wasn't overly enthusiastic about, nor the non-linear progression. Somehow, it all comes together in an incredible way. Of course it does. The puzzles, the dungeons, the secrets, all crafted by the best in the business, and this should be in your collection. I haven't played this since it came out, but I think it should be time for another playthrough, right? And my number one goes to Theatrhythm Curtain Call. Yeah, I don't care if this game is completely obsolete thanks to the recent Switch release, it can't take away from this being my favorite game on the 3DS. Playing through hundreds of Final Fantasy songs, the best music in the business, it doesn't get old. The touch controls are perfect, you feel so in line with the songs as though you are the conductor yourself. I'd actually put the first game and the second game together, since even though Curtain Call had much more content and balance. I think I like the single player content of the original more, but it's hard for me to remember, even though I put like 1,000 hours between them. And I wouldn't be surprised if the same happened to me on the Switch. I keep playing song after song after song. That's almost a perfect game. But on the 3DS, Theatrhythm Curtain Call is my favorite 3DS game. And there we have it. Any surprises? Any bad opinions? What are your favorite 3DS games? Let me know. Subscribe if you enjoy it. Thumbs up as well. Do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you want to join them, get ad-free content, you get the content early. With every big retrospective I do, you get a whole bonus video. There's loads on there. Access to a secret Discord for project updates and even behind the scenes videos. If you're on the producer level, you even get to vote for content I create. So much stuff. Go over there, check it out. Patreon.com/abitmorejordan. The link is in the description. And, of course, a big shout out to my super producers, Rich Sitorius, Sven Nowlertz, and Wixit. Thank you ever so much for your incredibly kind support.